So the lesson learned today is don't take the book back to the library before you review it. Now I have to hold up this mug to keep the color balanced. This is wine. Hey, what's up? Hello. So today's review is of a library book that I read called Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. This book came out, I believe, around September of 2015, so not too long ago, last fall. And I had wanted to read it since it came out because it just seemed really interesting. It's definitely a new take on the whole girl next door sort of story. It's about this girl named Madeline who has this supremely rare immune system disorder, which has a very long name called SCID, and it basically means that she cannot go outside. She cannot come into contact with any sort of allergen possible because almost anything in the world, from pollen in the air or the wrong kind of paper or dust or just particles that she's never encountered before and her body has never had a chance to become immune to, any of those possible things could cause her to have an allergic reaction and suffer some serious illness and trauma to all of her body. So she has been stuck in her house for the past 17 years. Her mother, who is a doctor, identified this disease in her when she was 17 and has set up this whole world inside the house and way of life so that Madeline never has to go outside. And Madeline is pretty content with this arrangement. It's basically how her entire life has been, so she doesn't really want for any other way until this family moves in next door. And it's a mother, a father, and a son and a daughter. The son is sort of this punky, dresses in all black, doesn't care what anybody thinks of him kind of guy named Ollie. And he catches Madeline's attention. So she starts to have some kind of interaction with him through the windows of their house, which sort of line up so they can talk to each other and write messages back and forth. And so she begins this friendship with him, and it eventually leads to them talking a considerable amount. And this is really the first person who's part of the outside world that Madeline really feels anything for, other than her mother and the nurse Carla that her mom has to come help take care of her when her mom has to be at her practice or at the hospital. Ollie turns into a big deal because eventually they become close enough where Madeline wants to actually speak to him, and she wants to be in the same room with him and wants to carry on an actual friendship, and that's very hard to do when people aren't really allowed into her house. There is a very intricate decontamination process that anyone that comes inside has to go through, and it would be a lot of risk and a lot of work for this to happen, but it starts to change Madeline's perception of herself and her illness and her capacity for friendship and sort of outside love. This book isn't incredibly long. It's only about 230, 240 pages. It's told in a very unique format. Some of it is just straight narrative prose, and other pieces of it are copies of text messages or memos or emails or notes or something like that. It's sort of like a compilation workbook, notebook book. Which is very interesting and I think definitely integral to the way the story progresses, because much of the dialogue is not carried out through conversation. It's all carried out through alternative forms of conversation where the two people can't see each other, they're not in the same room, they're not on the phone. A lot of it's online, a lot of it's through letters and notes, and I think it was integral to have those in there to portray the entire depth of her illness and how she really can't be physically in contact with anybody other than 2 or 3 people who are already in her life. Madeline as a character reminds me a great deal of Hazel Grace from The Fault in Our Stars, mainly because they are both two sharp, quick-witted, intelligent characters who have had a lot of time on their hands due to their illness to become really educated and read a lot and just continue to search out pieces of the outside world that they can only get to through reading books or discovering it on the internet or things like that. So the strength and the intelligence of both of those characters, but in Madeline in this book in particular, really comes across. That being said, I found Madeline to be exactly the character that I would expect her to be. Nothing was really super astonishing about her. The choices that she made, I could see the rationale behind each of them. She wasn't somebody that I cared an incredible amount for, but nor was she someone that I disliked. She was who I expected and what I expected, and it was just sort of bland in that sense, I guess, for me as this story went on. What I did really enjoy was her relationship with Carla. Carla is her nurse who tends to her every day and checks on her and makes sure that all of this intricate decontamination apparatus is working and keeping her safe. Carla is a mother of a daughter who is very close to Madeline's age, so they really share this interesting connection from a friendship standpoint rather than from a mother-daughter standpoint, because Carla brings a lot of her motherly wisdom to that relationship, but offers it in much more of a friendship capacity than a disciplinarian parent type capacity. And hand in hand with that is Madeline's relationship with her own mother, which goes in a lot of different directions in this story. Her mother, we begin the book seeing her mother as her best friend, and that narrative sort of changes as the story progresses, and I just wish that there had been a little bit more to go on about what made that characterization happen, what was going on in her mother's mind to cause her to make the choices that she made, and what brought them so close in the first place. It was really difficult for me for quite a while in this book to understand Madeline's mother's intensity coming from any other place than just a concerned parent, and for that amount of dedication to all of the aspects of Madeline's life that she was caring for. The dedication seemed a little bit over the top and seemed a little bit too intense, and it was very, very confusing because there wasn't a lot of backstory about her or the way that her mind worked or what she thought of anyone other than Madeline. With regards to Ollie, the boy next door, I feel like we really only got sort of a surface level of him. I wish the book had been longer so we could hear a little bit more about these characters, and it is hard from getting only Madeline's perspective, but we just scratched the surface of his family relationships, his relationship with his father, the reason that he dresses in all black, the reason that he has become the way he has and holds the mindset that he does. We got all of that just as basic material. It all does come out. We learn about him, but we don't learn enough about him for him to reach the same kind of emotional intensity as Madeline's mother. Both of them are very, very strong-willed characters, and it's hard to have that intensity at 17 and not tell the reader why that intensity is so strong. Does any of that make sense? I want to see what drives his fears and emotions and his love for things and people, and I didn't necessarily get that out of the story completely. I understood it a little bit, I could get it, I could follow it, but it wasn't exceptionally clear. Overall, I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I did like it, I did enjoy it. It did its job, which I think primarily was to make me feel something, which it did. It made me call my mom, hi mom, and we talked a little bit about it afterward, and I think if this book doesn't make you want to call your mother or someone who holds that kind of role in your life, you might want to just read it again, or at least read the last 100 pages again, because I think that it is the kind of book and the kind of story that will make you want to go back and go over and review those sort of relationships in your life, which perhaps might not have been its intention, but definitely was an outcome for me. I hope you're all having lovely weeks and lovely lives. Thank you, as always, for watching. All the things that you might want to know are in the doobly-doo, and we will see you very soon.